everyone and welcome to another ST video, and I've been having a look at quite a few Star Wars games lately, so I thought why not check out the ST version of Atari's official Star Wars arcade game. And the ST version was published in 1987 by Domark and developed by Vector Graphics, who were also responsible for many of the other home versions at the time, including the Spectrum version. The game was coded by Jürgen Friedrich, who also worked on Hard Drive in 1 and 2 and Stun Runner on the ST. And the cover and the ad artwork was made by Steinar Lund, who is a Norwegian artist that created many game covers in the 80s and 90s. And I found these pretty interesting photos of him posing as Luke, which he shot to help him create the artwork for this game. Now, the original arcade game was of course developed by Atari and designed by Mike Halley. It was released already in 1983 and uses vector graphics instead of the more common raster graphics, much like Atari's arcade game Asteroids that was released in 1979. The Star Wars game became Atari's top-selling arcade game in 1983, and according to the wiki, Atari produced more than 12,000 arcade units in the US alone. And of course the game was a huge success in the rest of the world as well. So, without further ado, let's just dive into the ST version, shall we? And really fast loading on this one. That's nice for a change. And there's actually no loading screen, which is kind of interesting. It just goes straight into the game. And let's just check out the intro with music by David Whittaker, I believe. And we still don't get the perspective text, but hey, that's alright, I don't mind. I'd rather have a good game. And as I remember it, this one is really solid. I mean, yeah, I did get a bit bored by it eventually, but initially I was really impressed by it and played it a great deal. And I was especially impressed with these sampled sound effects or these sampled voices. So let's just dive in.
Red 5 standing by.
Oh yes, Red 5 standing by. That actually does sound almost a little bit better than the arcade version. Just a tad, you know. The arcade version had this kind of weird, kind of artificially sounding or metallically sounding samples. It just sounded a little bit off. And they are kind of a little bit noisier maybe in the ST version, but they sound a bit cleaner in a sense, I think. Oh, damn. For some reason, it feels a little bit harder than the arcade version, I would say. But yeah, this runs super smooth. As you can see the X-Wings actual wings, or well, the tip of the wings are actually moving, so that's kind of cool. Didn't do that in the Spectrum version. And of course frame rate is a lot smoother than compared with the Spectrum version. And yeah, it does feel a bit harder, I must say.
Red 5, I'm going in. Use the force, Luke.
Oh yeah, I had to be quiet there to enjoy the samples. Yeah, I was blown away by this completely. I mean, the samples, and of course the gameplay was awesome too. But yes, it does feel more difficult than the arcade version in some ways, initially at least. But it's pretty damn faithful. And it starts out pretty simple. The trench run is just, you know, just an empty trench, nothing too exciting happening, except I'm being blasted by these things. Yeah, there we go. Easy difficulty, not too hard really.
Great shot, kid. That was 1 in a million.
Oh yeah, more samples. I approve. So let's see how much more difficult this will be. Now we will be getting the surface run as well. And I do find it a little bit difficult to line up the mouse. That could be again the kind of weird mouse emulation. There's got to be something wonky with mouse emulation in Steam. It's sometimes worse than others. It's pretty okay here, but I'm still kind of finding it a little bit hard moving the mouse the right amount. Maybe it would have been a lot easier to do with a real ST mouse. Maybe. As you can see, I keep missing. I always kind of a little bit behind. I try to move the mouse faster, but it doesn't quite work. Oh, come on! Die! But yeah, it's not a huge issue. The mouse controls are quite decent and works quite well. It doesn't seem like we're getting the big towers on this stage. Or wave, sorry. Just get the small tiny ones. Oh, what the? Oh, I'm driving into stuff. Okay, I'm sorry. Get up, pull up. Oh man. Yeah, it looks like the fireballs can be much further away and still hit you compared to the arcade. 2 lousy shields. Yeah, that's not great. Yes, I shall. I shall use the force. Or I might just dodge stuff, because that works too, right? Oh. Now it's getting a little bit more tricky. Oh man, I am just not doing a very good job here, am I? Please. Oh, really? Yeah, it looks like the fireballs are much further away. Right, my phone just rang, so I forgot what I was talking about. Probably nothing important, right? So let's just carry on the third wave. See how that is difficulty-wise. It's a lot more fireballs and they fire a lot faster. Sneaky bastard. Oh, really? They really like to come up very close to these guys. I remember when I was playing TIE Fighter on the PC in the 90s, I always tried to blow up Dart when I was in his wing. He would be the wing leader, if I remember correctly. And we were, of course, flying TIE Fighters in that game. That was just an awesome game. I absolutely loved that one. And as any Imperial pilot, I didn't hesitate to try and murder Dart because, you know, it's all about gaining rank. And I'm sure I would have gotten mad respect for blowing up Dart. But unfortunately, his TIE Advance or whatever he's flying did not take any damage from me. That was quite sad. Much like this game, you cannot destroy Dart here either. He's just impervious to your lasers. Oddly enough, I'm actually doing a bit better now. Even though I'm on stage or wave 3. There's hardly any fireballs here. I don't know why. That's kind of strange. But hey, maybe they just try to save up on CPU time. You know, try and save some frames by not having as many fireballs. Oh god, yeah, this is tricky judging distance here. It really is. Come on, go down, you... Man, this is pretty tricky. But, of course, the arcade version does get... What the... Why wasn't I staying on the bottom there? I was kind of like drifting upwards. I don't know why that happened, but maybe I need to keep pushing down or something. Yeah, I don't know. Let's try wave 5, because that's going to be manageable, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, that I do not like. Seems like the TIE Fighters really like to fly very close to you and fire, and there's just no way. You don't see them coming, and there's really practically no time to avoid the projectiles, it would seem. Or maybe there is a way to know. I don't know, but feels like it's a little bit cheap, and I don't remember the Spectrum version or the arcade version doing that. And I do love the fact that you can see the entire X-Wing move as you move the mouse. That's a neat little touch. That was, of course, in the arcade as well. At this stage, definitely feels like it's a little bit easier than the arcade, simply because there's just fewer fireballs. Oh, really? Yeah, it's really hard judging again how near a fireball needs to be to actually hit you. And I'm running out of space real quickly here. And the frame rate is still okay. I mean, yeah, it does start to get a little bit choppy, but I mean, not too bad and much better than the Spectrum version for sure. Avoid the catwalks, Luke. Oh, God. Somehow managed to do that. Yeah, this is really, really challenging. Really, really hard. I'm sure it's doable, but I'm not good enough to get anywhere at that difficulty level. And just for the fun of it, I'm actually replaying this level with unlimited shields just to see what happens on the 6th wave. Yeah, it's challenging for sure. This. Oh my god, so many catwalks. The controls are really suffering a bit here as the frame rate goes down. It's really hard getting out of the way in time here. But let's see what happens. Maybe there's something interesting that I never got to see back in the day, because I'm pretty sure I never got beyond wave 5 or 6 or something like that. So we have the 6th, whoa, TIE Fighter wave. I do miss the sound effect from the arcade when the TIE Fighters fly really close to you. That's really neat. They did not include that. Most likely because it would have slowed things down too much. Oh Jesus, these guys really love their fireballs. Jeez. Ha! Gotcha! I love the fact that you can blast them when they're so far away. Very satisfying. I wonder how many waves there are in this game. I really don't know. Oh man, it's getting so hard getting out of the way, and you really need to blast the fireballs here. I suppose you should try and stick to one side here. But even then, this doesn't feel like there's enough time to avoid stuff. Man, it's not easy, but it's hard, yeah. Okay, wave 7, and things are a little bit hectic. Wow. Frame rate is taking a bit of a nosedive here, but it's not too bad. It's still kind of manageable, I think. But kind of forget about trying to destroy the TIE Fighters. Just try and shoot the fireballs, really. I wonder what happened to Dart. He doesn't seem to be around anymore. There's something really satisfying when you hit a TIE Fighter. How they just split up. Remember liking that back in the day too. Take that.
Look at the size of that thing.
Oh, that was a new sample. Yeah, I don't know if that is dictated by what wave you're playing or it's just random. And I think we're going to call it quits right here because I managed to press the wrong button and screw something up in my emulator, so I was kicked out of the game. But hey, let's see what some other people thought about the game back in the day. And Computer and Video Games awarded the ST version an ST hit and gave it a playability score of 9 out of 10. And they wrote, if you own an ST and love the coin-up, then what are you waiting for? Go out and bag a copy now. And they also wrote, throughout the game has been well coded with great attention to detail. Consequently, it captures the frenetic mood and perfect playability of the original, right down to the digitized speech and sounds in all the right places. And yeah, I think I have to agree, this is very close to the arcade version, plays extremely well, only some minor niggles that aren't really worth focusing on. Your Computer awarded the game 78% and they wrote, although there is nothing technically amazing about Star Wars, it has very fast and smooth wireframe graphics and very exciting gameplay. So sit back, turn down the lights, grasp your mouse firmly and roll back the ears. Cover me Red 5, I'm going in. So a bit less enthusiastic than Computer and Video Games, but still a pretty decent rating, I would say. But of course the game does get a bit repetitive. That was kind of my main gripe with it back in the day. There's not a whole lot of new things to discover in the game as you progress throughout the waves, but hey, the arcade version kind of suffers from the same problem. So with that, I'm just going to say thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, and as always, hope to catch you next time. Cheers!